Yahee! Welcome, America. This is HomeTalkUSA right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. This is the Invent America show, Made in America show, with the Made in America guy himself, Mr. Greg Owens. Hey, we got some good news, Greg. We got some new affiliates that are now joining us. We have that big, powerful station, WDOC, 1310 AM, in Pressburg, Kentucky, that's now carrying the show, WOMI 1490, 99.1 FM in Owensboro, Kentucky. Welcome, all of you. This is the Made in America show, and I'd like to welcome my co-host, none other than the Made in America guy himself, Mr. Greg Owens. Hey, Greg, how you doing, my buddy?
I'm doing great, Michael. It's so good to have you back, too, after your little bout, but you seem good.
Yeah, I'm getting a little strength back. My voice is back, and I definitely want to thank Rita Crompton, the inventor lady, and yourself for carrying the water pails for about 3 weeks now. I tell you, COVID is nothing to play with, but I'm back, ready to go, and I know, Greg, we're ready to educate America right now, and that's what we're trying to do. So who's your first guest?
Well, we have an exciting hour planned. Our first guest is Bryan and Beth Hurley. Bryan is a second-generation guy in cookware. I think I met your dad down there briefly in Florida when I stopped by to visit you. And their brands are Americraft, KitchenCraft, and 360 Cookware. And joining Bryan is his wife, Beth, who's co-founder and CEO of 360 Cookware. She has a background in nursing and biotech, and I'm not sure, maybe she can explain to us a little bit about how that led you into the 360 world. But welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, Greg.
So a lot of brands going on here. It's an industry that's been around for many years. Talk to us a little bit about the company or the companies and how you all became involved in this.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a bit of an identity crisis, but the truth is Americraft Cookware is the factory in West Bend, Wisconsin, and that's not a name that goes on any product necessarily. That is the factory that makes multiple brands, including our brands. It makes brands for a few private labels, but the primary brands that it makes is our two, and we have two brands that we put everything behind. One is KitchenCraft Cookware, which is a legacy brand that we own that was actually started 118 years ago, I believe, in 1906. So it is pretty much the original waterless cookware, which is a whole other topic. However, 360 is a brand that we started in 2008 or 9, founded in 2008 or 9. And 360 was meant to be the first factory direct-to-consumer brand. And I've seen several interviews of several other companies that in 2016, 18, 22, they all say they're the first direct-to-consumer brand, but I promise you we are the very first factory direct-to-consumer brand with 360. And 360 Cookware is it's very similar to KitchenCraft, but it's a different market with a different approach, but virtually the same heirloom quality cookware and bakeware as KitchenCraft. And Beth got involved with 360 in 2009, and I'll let her explain how she went from the OR to the from the hospital
to the cath lab. Yeah. So my background is in nursing, cardiac nursing, biotech. Brought a few therapies to commercialization over the years, and when Bryan asked me to work for him, I don't have any experience selling cookware. I'm not really sure, but I am good at launching products. And so he wanted me to help him launch 360 Cookware. It was brand new there. And it was his vision to take a product that had been sold in the live event shows, the KitchenCraft product. He wanted to take that and update the look of it. So it was a more modern look. Instead of black phenolic handles, now we have the stainless steel handles to give it an updated look. And then he also wanted to sell it direct to consumer. Like he said, he wanted it strictly e-commerce. Everyone thought he was crazy. Everyone thought there's no way it's going to work. And it was before, we're in 2008, 2009. So it was before they were really, many people were buying so much online. So it was right before that boom took off. So everyone thought he was crazy, and we struggled for quite a while to figure out how to take this product that looks nice and shiny. It's typically sold in stores. And so if you see our product, which is, a high quality product next to a cheaper product, it's hard to tell the difference unless you pick it up and hold it and have time to explain it and read about it. So we had to figure out over the years how to be able to translate that into an e-commerce sale. And it took us that long to figure it out, but now we've got a great, we've kind of fine-tuned it and able to sell it online. And what really makes it happen is that we've got such a great quality product to sell.
Yep.
Well, I have them at home, and as part of my introduction to the product, I had no idea what clad cookware was really all about. And you look at that stainless steel surface, it's really pretty, but you just shudder imagining trying to fry an egg on that. Mm-hmm. And then Bryan brought me up to speed on preheating pans and doing certain things. And now, a couple of years later, I've got that egg sliding around just like any kind of surface. So we probably have to go to a break here fairly soon, but what is clad cookware, and why do you have, I think it's 7 layers, or is it 5 layers?
Yeah, the number of layers over the last 50 years has gone up and down and used as a sales and marketing ploy, but really the number of layers doesn't matter. Today, currently, we have 3 layers, and that's all that really matters. We have an exterior, usually a 400 series stainless steel that we can finish to a mirror finish or a matte finish, mirror finish preferably. What's important about the outside layer is that it's ferritic, so it's magnetic and it works on an induction range, gas, and electric. It'll work on any cooking surface. What you want on the middle is as much aluminum as you can possibly get, because stainless steel is a bad heat conductor and aluminum is a way, way, way better heat conductor than stainless. The only thing better than aluminum on heat conduction, even heat conduction, is silver. And our pans would be in the thousands of dollars if we went that way. And then on the inside, you want the cleanest, safest, food safe surface you can get. And that's why we now use 316 on the interior. So think of the 3 layers as the exterior stainless with an aluminum core, and then a stainless 316 interior. And it would be a whole other show to explain how they take those 3 layers and bond them together. But they're not coming apart without significant, well over 1,000 degrees of heat and a lot of pressure. And they're not blended into one. It really is 3 layers, just like a cheeseburger would be a 4-ply clad, if you will. And
I think the important thing to note is that, like Bryan mentioned, the aluminum is such a superior heat conductor, but you don't want aluminum to touch your food. And there are a lot of pans that have aluminum, bakeware that have aluminum, but you want that sandwich, if you will, with the stainless steel, so that you can get that good conductivity with the aluminum, but you can have that safe surface to have the stainless steel touching your food rather than the aluminum.
And the other thing you don't want touching your food, or Lord forbid, come off in your food, are some of those non-stick coatings that are so popular, right? I remember the first conversation we had about that. Why is that so important?
Well, I'm not going to try to pretend to be a scientist and tell you why. We've always called Teflon. We've always called it and referred to it as Tefloff, because eventually it does stop working and it does come off the pan. And I'm not going to say where it's going. I'm going to let you use your common sense as to where material is going after you cook in it. But I'm going to guess it's probably going into the food and probably going into the system. And, ever since the 60s, they've advised against having birds in your kitchen while using any nonstick coating, because the fumes from the nonstick coating can kill the bird. It's the classic, canary in the coal mine thing, but this time it's in your kitchen. And I know we're much more robust than a canary. However, I would prefer to stick to not having that in the air for myself as well.
All right. Well, that is a good introduction to what is a very high quality product. We have to take a break here and go pay some bills. But when we come back, we'll be talking to you a little bit more about how you go to market and what you found in terms of challenge and successes there. So we'll be right back with more in the Made in America Hour. Welcome back, everybody, to Home Talk USA. This is the Made in America Hour. I'm Greg Owens, and I'm here with Bryan and Beth Hurley from Americraft Kitchencraft 360 Cookware. And we were just talking a little bit about the difference between cooking on stainless steel and that non-stick stuff that's maybe a little bit shaky. Beth, what can you tell us about the learning curve that you go through and how to get great results on stainless steel cookware?
Yes, that's a great question, Greg. A lot of people are intimidated when they see a stainless steel pan and try to cook on it. And so that's why they'll maybe lean towards cooking eggs on a coated surface. And obviously for reasons we want to try to veer people away from using coated. And a lot of people are. We're getting so many people coming to us because they're trying to find an alternative to coated pans. And stainless steel is a great option for those people wanting to make that transition. And the learning curve, there is a learning curve, but once you get used to it, like you said, Greg, you experienced it, it does become easy, and you can flip eggs like nobody's business. I can't tell you how many eggs I've made with our 6 kids in the house, but the secret is with stainless steel cookware, you're going to put your pan on the stove, you're going to heat it up and let it heat up by itself without anything in it. And then you're going to do what's called a droplet test. And you'll do this in the beginning so you'll know how long it takes to heat up your pan. But once you get used to it, you don't always have to do this. But you heat your pan up and then you throw a couple of a little bit of water in it. And if it splatters away, that means it's not hot enough. What you want it to do is the water to roll around and kind of dance on the surface of the pan. And that means it's the perfect heat. So then you're going to add your butter, your oil, your spray, whatever you want to add on to that. And then you let that heat up with it again. And then you pour your eggs or your protein. It can be meat, chicken, whatever. But the secret is to have the pan heat up first, then have your oil or butter heat up first if you're using that, and then put your protein in. If you put a cold egg or a cold piece of chicken in a cold pan, then it's going to stick.
Right. And I learned that it wasn't really much of a learning curve. I just had to be brought up to speed on it. And then the other thing that I learned is, we're all trying to cook healthier these days. And there's this concept of waterless cooking. And you mentioned oils and stuff like that. I noticed I've been using a lot less oils. Mm-hmm. You spin that lid and you get that nice little seal. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So the way our cookware is designed is to do exactly what you said. So you use a very minimal amount of water because of the quality of the metals that we use and the design that we used. It almost acts as if each pan is its own little oven. So it cooks the food in its own moisture rather than having to boil it. So when you boil carrots,
12 degrees.
You boil carrots and then you see the water that you pour down the drain is full of that carrot nutrition, that orange water that's going down. Well, that's all your nutrition is going away. So when you're able to cook it with very minimal water, the taste is better, the colors are more vibrant, the nutrients are still retained, and it's much more delicious. Where now you can use your oils or your butter if you want to. You don't have to use it to drown out the flavor anymore. You can add it to enhance it. So it's up to you if you want to use the oils or butter at that point.
And I think on your website, and remind the audience, where do they find the 360 cookware? What's the website?
360cookware.com.
360cookware.com. And you have recipes and instructional videos on there, don't you?
Yes, we have lots of recipes, lots of videos, blogs. We're also on Instagram. We're also on Pinterest, Facebook. So you can find us pretty much everywhere. We're about to start into TikTok. So that's a new avenue we're heading. So we'll see how that goes.
And then, you mentioned some of the challenges that you had getting to market. And, Bryan and I, we met, I don't know how many years ago, and we were both sort of getting our websites off the ground. It takes a while, doesn't it? But how many of your customers would you say are return customers that bought it, loved it, and now when they have a wedding or they have some sort of an event or they want to add on to their set, they can add on and it's there? And it's
over 50% of our customers.
Yeah, I think it's on average 40 to 55% returning customer rate. Yeah, we've been told for the industry, for e-commerce, it's a very good. We should be very proud of our returning customer rate. So we just keep doing our job of acquiring new customers, and then the product does its job of retaining the ones we've already found. Yeah,
right. And that speaks to the product quality too, because you mentioned heirloom quality. This is something that you buy it once, and there's nothing more sustainable than that. You'll be able to hand it off to future generations, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I always tell people that you want to be a green environmentalist kitchen, buy something that you're not going to throw away. And we do not build disposable cookware. It's not a very good business model because I only sell it to you one time and you pass it down, but I sleep well at night.
Well, it's a very responsible business model. And we have a couple minutes left here, but what would you say is the biggest distinguishing factor between some of those cheapo cookware sets that you find, you see them everywhere in big box stores and online, versus the product that you're selling? Is it that heirloom quality, or what is it that really makes it worth the money you're spending?
The first thing I would say is ours is made in America. So a lot of the stuff that you see on the shelves or online is not made in America. And the other that I would mention is that a lot of like I said earlier, some of the cookware can look the same if you sit them side by side, but when you get them and pick them up and can see the difference, because a lot of those pieces of cookware are just made with a one-ply stainless steel. And if you cook on stainless steel that's just a one-ply and that's it, that's a nightmare. You're going to stick all over the place. That's not going to be a good scenario.
Stainless a bad name.
That is what gives stainless a bad name. When you have a high quality pan such as ours, then it's not like you said, the learning curve's not as significant with that.
Well, yeah. This is all really interesting. And Bryan, you said, when you were talking about the clad process, that's a conversation for another day. I'm looking forward to having you guys back on the program to do a deep dive into some of these different subjects and educate our audience a little bit on how the heck do you get two different kinds of stainless steel and a piece of aluminum to stick together and diffuse the heat and give a nice, even cooking service. So thank you both for being here. Really appreciate the conversation. And I wish you the best of luck. And as we close, one more time, let's talk about that website. How do we get there, Beth?
360cookware.com, 360cookware.com.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having us on here.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. We look forward to having you on again. This is Home Talk USA. This is the Made in America Hour. Bryan and Beth Hurley from 360 Cookware. We'll be right back after we pay a couple bills.
And now, back to the #1 home improvement radio program in the country with the man from the Bayou Land, your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King.
Welcome back, everybody, to Home Talk USA. This is the Made in America Hour. I'm Greg Owens, and I'm here with Geoff Storm from MPW Marketing, the firm that we use and have used for quite a while to help us with a lot of different things involving web marketing. So, Geoff, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Greg. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in MPW and maybe sort of what's your area of expertise, because MPW does a lot of different things.
Well, yeah, we sure do. And I'll try to keep the story brief. I'm actually an old radio guy myself. I got into the radio business quite by accident back in the late 80s. And originally I was a DJ for all intents and purposes, on-air personality, and eventually transitioned over into the creative services end of the business and was doing a lot of writing and production of radio commercials until about 12 years ago. I had a conversation with the founder of MPW, Matt Wilson. So there's your M and your W anyway, from MPW. And he said, I could really use a hand with creative work over here. What do you think? I mean, do you want to come over and do something, beyond radio? And I said, sure. And so here I am 12 years later.
All right. Well, so MPW, you have your role in it, but we first connected when we had to redesign our website. I think back when we first did our website, we actually went to the store and bought a floppy disk in a box or something to create the thing. And it was time to upgrade that. So you guys helped us do the website. You've helped us create and do national TV ads, 15-second spots that populate segments on YouTube. We've been on the radio. And then there's a whole other side to it, which is the Google and the Facebook marketing and linking that website in. And then, believe it or not, I don't know if you're aware of this, but actually helped us out with our branding and from our logo to the design of the boxes that we put our product in. So it's pretty much a one-stop shop for us, and it's been a great relationship that's developed over the course of time. So, talk to us a little bit about how MPW started out, I believe, as just sort of the traditional advertising agency and has branched off into all these different things. What can you tell us about the growth and the direction?
Well, yeah, that's true. But, keep in mind that when MPW was first founded, which would have been 2006, I think. 2006. What the agency was doing then was what every agency was doing then. We've always had the capability to, we've always considered ourselves a quote unquote full service agency, right? So in other words, we don't just specialize in one media or, we do the whole breadth of everything. We can handle an entire campaign, an entire rebrand, a brand launch, the whole nine. But the world has changed, over the last 18 years dramatically. The different, techniques for marketing have changed and expanded. The growth and change has been astounding really over the last 18 years. So yeah, when we first started out and when I first joined the company, and so let me just back up a little bit. What my primary role is in creative and messaging, right? So I am still intimately involved in what we call traditional marketing. We still do a lot of that. We still do traditional television and radio. But those channels have expanded a little bit. So now you have digital radio as opposed to just, traditional terrestrial radio. Now you have what we know as OTT or over-the-top television or streaming video. So think Hulu and platforms like that, right? And of course there's YouTube and there's, and now there's social media, all these things that sort of existed back in 2006, but people weren't really using them the way that we do today. And as you mentioned, now there's Google and there's all sorts of different digital advertising avenues as well. So I'm still pretty much focused on a lot of those, on the same thing that I was when I joined MPW, but in a much bigger and different way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And as your organization has expanded, you need to draw in experts in different fields. And one of the things that we've done in developing a relationship is I remember Dan telling me once, the worst nightmare is to get a client and he says, well, my nephew said that I need to be on Google. So can you please get me on Google, and expect that's going to work? We've been sort of, it's our company, it's our passion. We've been driving the bus, and the technology and all these things and the changes happen so rapidly that we really have developed a relationship where we work together. We have the ideas and the message and the creative, and you help guide us through that process. But then when Google changes, and that's a topic for another day, from analytics to GA4, all those technical changes, we would spend hours and hours learning that. And we can just pick up the phone or jump on a Zoom call and work through that pretty quickly and get ourselves back on track.
Right. Yeah, that's, that's, we're proud of that, and that's what we're there for. We like to think of you and all of our clients as our partners, or we're your partners, however you want to look at it. We're in this together. Your success is our success. We always say that we spend our clients' money like it's our own, and that's important these days, because with all these expanded opportunities to market yourself, to advertise, there's an expanded opportunity for waste, right? And so we have to be very smart about how we're spending money and how we're choosing to get our messaging out there.
Well, it's been a great relationship so far, and we look forward to growing that relationship, and getting on to new and exciting things. And one of the things that we just recently did, and it was sort of piggybacking off of some original YouTube videos that we created, is this national advertising campaign through Fox and Friends, but we'll be going out to other networks to get the word out about Liberty Tabletop. And you produced all those segments in-house, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. And so, as I mentioned, that is still sort of, since I joined MPW and still today, a good percentage of my role is directly related to video production, right? So again, that includes traditional television, but it also includes, social media and various OTT outlets and things like that. So anyway, so originally we produced those little YouTube shorts for you, and I think that was in 2016 or 2017.
Might have been that long ago, yeah. Yeah,
and then we were able to repurpose actually a lot of that old footage and create some longer form, and by longer form I mean 13s or 15s and 30s, as you mentioned, that ended up on Fox TV and some other places as well.
So one of the first things that you said to me, I think it was actually in the hallway when we were filming those videos, was it's actually very simple. Who do you want to reach and what do you want to tell them? And that stuck with me, and maybe that's marketing 101, but do you think it's that simple pretty much?
Well, I mean, at its essence, at its core, right? It's saying the right things to the right people at the right time, so the philosophy is very simple. But that's where it gets complicated after that, right? So how, where are those people? How do we find them? How do we reach them? How do we reach them most affordably? That's what we're really looking at a lot of times, is how can we get in front of as many of the right people as affordably as possible? And so that's why we still like to say, listen, don't discount traditional media like television. Don't say that people don't watch TV anymore, because it's not true. And oftentimes, that is the most affordable way to get in front of the most people who will actually buy your product. Well, it's not true for everybody, but it's often true. Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute fascinating experience learning from you guys and working together on this. We have to take a quick break here and go out and pay some bills. But when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation on this and sort of our experience as we walk together into, for a little company like ours, a national TV campaign and national radio. We'll be right back after a short break with more Made in America Hour.
Welcome back to Home Talk USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need with HomeTalk.expert. That's HomeTalk.expert. We invite you to visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com, one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to the #1 home improvement radio program in the country with the man from the Bayou Land, your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King.
Welcome back to Home Talk USA. I'm Greg Owens. This is the Made in America Hour, and I'm here with Geoff Storm from MPW Marketing, and we're talking about how to effectively and cost-effectively get the message out about your company and your products, and a little bit about our experience on doing that. And one of the challenges that we face is cause and effect, right, Geoff? You mentioned a couple of these channels and you throw it out there and you're just not quite sure if it's working or not, if your dollars are being spent well. And the recent shift from Google Analytics to GA4, even though analytics never was a perfect thing, has really presented some challenges, hasn't it?
It sure has. Yeah. I don't know if it's just something that will be ironed out in time, but it's a little bit different tool. And like you said, it can be a little bit more challenging to understand the data you're looking at.
Right. And then there are other areas like live radio, for example, and live television where you know when your hit time is, and you can literally sit there and watch the needle move on your website.
Yeah.
And then you can see the bell dinging at the cash register.
Right. And, that's one way to track it. And with those traditional mediums, that was traditionally and in a lot of ways still remains the only way to really track the success of your ad. Know when it airs and see what happens, see what the reaction is in real time. Yeah.
And, we've certainly been able to achieve some pretty unbelievable numbers in these national TV campaigns, which at first we thought were out of our reach in terms of economics. We didn't understand that you can buy one 30-second spot and test it out. And if you make a good return on investment, it's scalable, right?
It certainly has been in your case, right? Yeah, so it is possible. And again, it sounds like an odd thing to even suggest. Marketers, advertisers will tell you it's about repetition. It's about, and so to think, well, if I just air one time, I might get not just positive ROI on that, but incredible ROI on that, right? It seems counterintuitive. But yeah, but again, this isn't necessarily maybe true for every business, for every product, but you have a brand that was just the perfect scenario for a test like this, right? First of all, your brand is very much American, American made in the USA. You are the epitome of that kind of a company, right? So we knew where we could reach some folks where that really makes a difference, right? People who really care about where their product is made, the quality, the level of quality with which it's made. And so it just seemed like the perfect opportunity. And sure enough, it worked.
My analogy always for it is always, aim for the center of the bullseye. And, when you find an audience that's literally the center of the bullseye and you hit the center of the bullseye with the right message, you're going to get really great results.
Right. Particularly when the center of the bullseye is enormous, like on a national campaign, right? So, we're not talking to a couple of hundred people. We're not talking to a couple of thousand people. We're talking to a few million people all at the same time with a message that I think really, I think the messaging was right. I don't say that because I was so involved in the creation of the messaging, but I think the messaging was right. I think the medium was right. And I think the audience was right. And that goes back to who are you talking to? What are you saying to them? And when are you saying it?
Well, and you've got all that you put together. There's so many things that I didn't know, and there are so many things that I still don't know about marketing effectively in these different medium. I mean, then you can get into YouTube TV, and you can get into all sorts of other channels to get out there. So I guess the message for our audience that I hope everybody's taking away from this is, if you can hook up with an MPW or another marketing firm that really has expertise in this, and help them drive the bus, but lean on them for the technical knowledge and the experience in getting it done, then that's really key to successful marketing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Geoff, thank you for being on. We're going to have you guys back from time to time to maybe do a deeper dive into these subjects. Perhaps this Google Analytics. Maybe some people don't even know what that is. In the transition to GA4, things like first-party data, so that you can make sure that your marketing is effective. Right. But right now, what I'd like to do, aside from thank you for appearing on our show, is to kick it back over to Michael King, who wanted to close out with a couple of words.
What a great guest. I tell you, thank Geoff for your great words. And I tell you, if you're a young company out there and you're trying to get that roadmap, that's the perfect place to go. All right, got a couple announcements before we close out the show. Don't forget, if you want to be a guest on Home Talk, or you want to be a guest on the Event America show or Made in America, just contact me at michaelking1350 at yahoo.com. Don't forget, if you want to catch the show live every Saturday, 3 to 6 p.m. Central Time on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network at HomeTalkUSA.com. On behalf of all our guests, our topics, just make sure that you buy American, because I tell you, the quality of life that buying American has in our communities is just unbelievable. And don't forget, we're going to have a campaign that we want all our listeners to go out there and vote and exercise your right to vote and to choose your leaders. And so again, on behalf of everybody, until next week, we want to thank you on behalf of my co-host, Greg Owens, and all our guests. We'll see you next week. Y'all come back now, yeah?